thank you so much for joining me today for another video. Believe it or not, I'm going to be doing another review video. I had mentioned this in my previous Too Faced Glitter Bomb palette review that I was going to do a review on the Naked Heat palette, and I just gave it away. Yep, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm reviewing the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette, and I'm so excited. I'm planning on giving you my first impressions with swatches and a demo, just kind of create a look with this palette. So if you're interested in seeing all of that, then keep on watching. Also, please do subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to click on that notification bell to make sure you're not missing out on my future videos. Okay, let's get on with it now. Alright, first of all, this Naked palette, the packaging looks beautiful, and on the back it says Naked Heats Up. Get lit with 12 all new, can't live without amber hued neutrals, including warm browns, burnt oranges, and rich siennas. From a super smooth red-brown matte and a glimmering copper to a deep shifty bronze, this palette has everything you need to create sultry daytime looks, intensely smoky nighttime looks, and everything in between. So that's really neat, and the packaging looks very pretty, as always. I'm gonna open this up, and let's see what's in here. Oh! Ooh! So this is what the palette looks like. It's in a box right here. There's the matches, hence the Naked Heat. I get it. Clever, clever. Looks pretty beefy, actually. And it's super shiny, and it looks really fancy. If I compare it to the Naked One and the Naked Two here side by side, it's definitely different in packaging because this is cardboard and some velvety material, and this is plastic, and it looks like some sort of pretty acrylic plastic or something. The thickness between the two palettes is really different too. This Naked Heat palette is considerably thicker and beefier than the Naked One palette. And in terms of the length, it looks like it's pretty much the same length here. So that's something for your reference. So I also have the Naked Smoky palette, and when I first saw the Naked Heat palette, my immediate thought was, wow, the packaging looks kind of similar to the Naked Smoky palette. But if I compare these side by side, it also looks like the Naked Heat is a little bit thicker than the Naked Smoky palette. But in terms of the quality of the packaging, they kind of feel the same. They feel like good quality plastic packaging, if that matters to you. So I know you guys are waiting for this moment. I mean, there's pictures online, but it's kind of exciting, right, to see the reveal of the palette. So let's open this up. Ooh! Be careful because there's a dual-ended brush, just like in all the other Naked palettes. That's pretty neat. You get an extra brush, and da-da-da, here's the palette. It looks so pretty, and I love this amber hued color scheme going on. Of course, it being called the Naked Heat palette, it definitely encompasses the essence of fire and smoldering amber, some warm brown neutral colors, and I love it. So far, I think it's a beautiful looking palette, and I'm really excited to go ahead and swatch these colors onto my arm and see what the formulation feels like, the pigmentation and whatnot. But before I go into the swatches, I want to quickly mention that this mirror, if I peel this protective layer, it looks like a really clear, good quality mirror. I really like it a lot, and the size of it is really nice too. Also, for those of you who aren't aware, this palette is the same price as all the other Naked palettes. It's $54. I believe I got this from Sephora online, and if you're an Ebates member, you get 8% cash back at Sephora, so you can get a little bit of money back while you're shopping for some makeup. So for the swatches, I just want to kind of describe the shades and their names, and I will be starting from left and going to the right. So the first shade on the left is called Ounce, and I think it's a very warm toned cream color. Got a bit of a sheen to it, nothing crazy though. so it looks like it could be a really good brow bone highlight color or inner corner highlight. The next shade is called Chaser, and it's definitely that cooler toned taupe color, very good for transition in your crease, and it looks like it's a complete matte color. The next shade is Sauced. It's a warmer toned light brown color, and it's really pretty. I also think this would be an awesome transition shade on your lids. The next shade is called Low Blow, and it's a matte, deeper toned, warm colored brown, and it's so classic. The next shade is called Lumber, and it's a very complex shade. It seems like I see a little bit of orangish, copper, a little bit of red. It's a very shimmery, almost metallic color, and I really love that it's multi-dimensional. The next shade is a matte, brick reddish brown color, and it's called He Devil, and I think it's such a pretty color. This just reminds me of clay, like fresh clay that you get from the earth, and it's red and it's beautiful and it's rich, so I love that color. The next shade is called Dirty Talk, and it's also a shimmery reddish brown color. It almost looks like if He Devil were a shimmery color, then it would look like Dirty Talk. The next shade is called Scorched, and it looks like it's got quite a bit of a metallic hue. It's also got that warm reddish color. The next shade is called Cayenne, and it's definitely less red in hue than He Devil, but it's definitely a rich brown warm color that looks amazing. The next shade is called En Fuego, and it's a deep reddish brown color. The next shade is a matte deep brown color, and this is deep. It's almost like bark colored. The next and final shade is called Ember, and it's a very shimmery, bronzy, beautiful color that looks super duper pigmented. Alright, so now that I've finished swatching, I have some initial thoughts I'd like to share with you guys. I think the shimmery metallic shades are without question super pigmented, really good quality, and the color payoff is just amazing. They look so shimmery and bright, and I love them. As for the matte shades though, I'm a little more skeptical simply because when I swatched them on my arms, it seemed like they weren't as pigmented as I thought they would be. Maybe it would be different when I put them on my eyes, but when I swatched them on my arms, it just didn't look very impressive. And the reason I also say that is because I've experienced using a lot of good pigmented creamy matte eyeshadows, which is not something that was reflected in the swatches. And I'm sure if you guys saw the swatches, you might agree that the matte shades weren't really as impressive as the metallic shades. As for the texture and the feel of some of the eyeshadows, I would say that the metallic eyeshadows were a little bit dry or rougher feeling to the touch of my fingertips, and it was kind of strange because some of the shimmery metallic shades were feeling pretty creamy while some felt kind of dry and a little scratchy. As for the matte shades though, I gotta say they feel really smooth and soft to the touch. They don't feel rough, they don't feel dry. It's just the pigmentation, considering how smooth and creamy they feel, was not what I expected. So we'll see how all of this comes into play in the demo section. Okay, I'm just gonna clip my hair back simply because it's been kind of annoying me a little bit. I just want to let you guys know that I already have concealer on my eyelids, but I'm gonna go ahead and prime my eyes anyway. And yes, I already have foundation, bronzer, highlight, powder, and concealer on, so it's kind of becoming a common theme with my videos lately. I'm gonna prime my eyes using the Urban Decay Primer Potion in the anti-aging version. Just spreading that all over my lids and just blending it out with my finger. So there isn't really a shade in this palette for me to use to set my eyes, so I'm gonna go ahead and use what I always use to set my eyes. It's this creamy shade in the NYX Highlight and Contour Pro palette. So I'm gonna quickly just set my eyes and we'll get on with it. Alright, so my eyes are set and I'm gonna use a transition shade in my crease area. Since I am going for a warmer look, I'm gonna take the shade called Sauced and take that in my fluffy MAC 224 brush and fluff that onto my crease. Now, how many times did I say fluff? Can you count that? Just gonna put that all over my lid and warm up my eyes. Now, you know what? This shade really didn't show up very well on my arm swatch, but it's looking really nice on the eyes. So that goes to show you that if you swatch it on your arms, it might not exactly be a very accurate representation of the product that you have. Gotta bring you guys in closer. I am really loving the shade actually. It's really pretty. I'm not having any issues blending the shadow either. I will say though, if you're using a fluffy brush like this and dipping into your palette, I am seeing a lot of just powder just puffing out, and I keep just blowing at my palette to make all those dusty powders go away. That doesn't bother me too much, but if it bothers you, that's a good thing to know. So far, I love how the shade Sauced just kind of blended into my crease area without any issue, and it looks very pigmented, and I love it so far. I love this warmth. I love everything about it. Next, with a smaller fluffy brush, I'm taking the shade He Devil because this shade just really speaks to me. Not necessarily the name, but the shade really speaks to me. And I'm gonna create that halo look with this shade. That's pretty pigmented. You know what? I'm not having issues blending it all, which is really awesome. Don't worry, it does look very messy, but we will blend it. Okay, we'll come back and work on this after we put some of the lid shade down. I'm thinking of putting in the color Lumber because it's a really pretty color. Just taking that with a flat e.l.f. concealer brush and packing that on my lid. It's looking really good even though I'm applying it dry, which is great to see. Just gonna go in with that shade He Devil again and darken up the areas around the shade I just placed down. Now I'm gonna take the shade called En Fuego and darken up the outer corners of my eyes a little bit, just to build more of a contrast. And with whatever's left over, I'm gonna connect it. I'm gonna add more of that lumber color. In fact, let's add it with our fingers. Give it more oomph. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. Now, after assessing my look a little bit, I'm thinking I want a little bit more of a shimmer on the center of my lids. So I'm gonna take the shade called Ounce and just pop that right in the center, just with my finger. And just pat it in. Alright, I want to do a little bit of highlighting on the brow bone, so I'm going to take that same color Ounce and add that onto my brow bones. And add some on the lower inner corner area. Alright, let's add some color to the lower lash line just to balance everything out. I'm going to take that shade He Devil and add that to the lower lash line and connect it to the shadow that's already on the top. I'm not gonna go all the way in, I'm just gonna go maybe halfway in, almost 2/3. Alright, now I'm gonna take that shade En Fuego and add that to the outer lower corners. Just to deepen it up. Okay, so let's now take the fluffy eyeshadow brush and blend everything out just lightly. Just making sure we don't have any harsh lines. If I bring you guys closer, this is just kind of the look that I decided to go with on a whim. It's a halo eye look. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and line my eyes and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back from lining my eyes and yeah, it just kept getting longer and longer and longer, and you know how that goes, right? Yeah, so I'm just gonna sport this really feline, long, dramatic winged liner today. Okay, so now let's add a pair of false lashes to just add to the drama, and I think it would look really good with this look. I'm taking the Eyelure Opulent style, by the way. Time to add some color to my lips. I'm gonna use the NYX Lingerie Liquid Lip in the shade Exotic. Alright, so this is the final look. I hope you guys like it. I actually really like how it turned out. So let's now move on to my final thoughts about the Naked Heat palette. So initially when I had done the swatches on my arms, as I mentioned to you guys, I didn't really find the matte shades all that impressive, and I only found the shimmery, more metallic shades to be very pigmented and really beautiful. But after trying them out on my eyes, I'm realizing that the matte shades are super blendable and pretty pigmented on the eyes. I don't know, maybe it's a difference in the skin texture or just in the skin in and of itself between the eyes and the arm. I thought that the matte shades blended really nice and I didn't have any trouble blending the eyeshadows at all. As for the shade selection, I think it's got a good variety of shades. It's got, you know, sprinkles of metallic and shimmery shades as well as matte shades. I think there are more matte shades as opposed to the shimmery metallic shades, but nonetheless, I think all of these browns are super beautiful and you can create very warm, sunset, rusty, brick reddish hued looks, and I think they're beautiful. I think it looks really nice on like a summer night out, and I think these colors are very fashionable and it looks really good even on warmer skin tones such as myself. Yes, I do have a more yellower, warmer undertone, and yet these reddish colors still look, I think, decent on me. I don't know, what do you guys think? So all in all, I think I really like this palette simply because when applied in the application it's supposed to, hence on the eyes, it applies very beautifully, blends really well, is super pigmented, and I have no complaints whatsoever. So Jane says yes to this product. I really, really like it, and I'm really glad that I purchased it because, you know, it always kind of sucks having a product you don't like that you spent a lot of money on. So yeah, I really love this palette, and should you guys choose to buy this palette, I hope you guys can enjoy it as much as I did. So yeah, that's my verdict. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate your support and kind words of encouragement. It really means a lot to me. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and join the Facebook group. Also make sure to click on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. With all of that said, remember always that you are beautiful inside and out. And I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Mwah!